Hey Spider Nation, welcome back to another episode of Spider-Man's Tangled WebShow. I'm your host, Jonathan, webmaster of SpiderManFanRave.com, SpiderManFanRave.com, pretty basic URL. Go on over there, we got some fun Spider-Man news, articles, reviews, anything you want, you can find over there. I do apologize, there's basically no lighting on me right now. I think this actually might be kind of cool, it might give a mysterious effect, who knows. So yes, I am Jonathan, maybe the creepy host, maybe I'm not. It depends on your perception. Isn't that what reality is? Mostly 90% perception? All right, tonight I'm being joined by James. What's going on, James?
I'm watching Seth Rollins beat the crap out of John Cena right now. Oh, that's a good flip. Sorry, SummerSlam is happening, people. Besides that, I'm having a pretty good week. Yeah, I'm kind of distracted right now. I was my buddy from the Air Force actually just came back this week, so most of it just me and him and a lot of our friends hanging out and playing Cards Against Humanity and just hanging out, playing video games. Just, I believe our exact words is we're partying like we're 15 years old again, and we literally are. Especially when we were messing with our one friend last night when he was in our one buddy Kyle's house and he was getting all his shit ready because we were going home, and we were all outside and we were all just like knocking on the window, stop it, guys! And we went right into the other window, knock on it, stop it, guys! Run into the other window. It was we were having all fun because. Literally, I'm starting school again in like 2 weeks, and he's going back to the Air Force in 2 weeks. So this is the last time for us all to be shit together until like another couple of years probably. So just having fun with my friends. And yeah, like I said, it's tomorrow. I got to go pick up all my cooking stuff and my chef hat. So yay, school starting up again. Yay.
And speaking of school, we got our newly established high school senior, Jan. What's going on, Jan?
Well, as you said, I started my senior year. Technically, I started it last week. I went to school Friday and then had the weekend off and then started, again Monday. And it's actually been pretty awesome. I love 8-hour release. Get out of there early, and usually I just go to my favorite teacher's classroom and just hang out and stuff. He has a bunch of freshmen in there, and I usually give the freshmen a hard time. And then I don't know. It's been a good couple weeks.
What have I been up to the last 2 weeks? We apologize we didn't do an episode last week. Not only did James get sick, but I also got extremely busy. So, ironically enough, Jan was the only person who was available to do this podcast last week. So we decided, okay, we're not going to be able to do it this week. So we pushed it to this week. So we're back again for an episode this week. What have I been doing this week? Well, I've got some college stuff ready. I'm actually starting classes tomorrow. So, yay, go me. Starting my music major, awesome. I'm actually really excited. Trumpet's all ready to go. Books are all ready to go. Books are purchased. So, everything's good on that front. Besides that, what?
What school are you going to?
Oh, just a local
Jeff,
community.
God. Sorry, for a second I thought John Cena won the title, and I fucking hate that guy.
Apologies to John Cena, who may or may not be watching this right now. Okay, but
he's not watching. He's live in Brooklyn, New York right now. He's not watching this, John.
Who knows? This podcast goes up on YouTube. Whatever happens on YouTube. Okay, I'm just going to stop that joke. That joke is going to fall flat. All right. Well, what are we talking about today?
John Cena guys are on YouTube. Trust me, there's a lot of them.
All right. So today, we're going to start off the review, Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #4. I said on our last podcast that I was actually kind of disappointed with the fact that this book was coming out basically every 2 months. That's actually not true. It was coming out once a month. We actually got this issue only 2 weeks after the previous one, so I want to give some props to the creators, to the publishers actually, for getting this issue out in a fairly decent amount of time. So, writer for credits on Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows #4, we got writer Dan Slott, art by Adam Kubert and Scott Hanna, colorist Justin Ponser, letterer VC's Joe Caramagna, cover artists Adam Kubert and Maury Hollowell, variant cover artist Gabriel Delato, assistant editor Devin Lewis, editor Nick Lowe. Basic summary: Annie and MJ are kidnapped by two people who turn out to not be affiliated with the Regent. Looks like I was wrong last time when I said, oh. Yes, I was wrong. I said, oh, James, shucks, just shut up, you don't know anything. Those are clearly Regent's men.
It's no classic Dan Slott writing. See, I swerved you. You thought they got kidnapped by the Regent, but it was really the remnants of all the superheroes.
Yeah, so they're kidnapped by S.H.I.E.L.D. and brought to the Resistance headquarters. Meanwhile, Spider-Man and Sandman are taken by the Regent, who basically... It's fun because he uses his telekinesis powers to basically immobilize the both of them, and Sandman says, dude, this is really not fair. He's like, it's never fair when you fight me. And so Prowler and Mockingbird introduce Mary Jane and Annie to Hawkeye, a one-eyed Hawkeye who's clearly trying to be Nick Fury. So basically they explain what's going on. They reveal that Ben Urich is also with the Resistance, and he has been covering for Peter and Mary Jane at the Bugle, running misinformation, kind of covering their tracks as they go. And so Mary Jane says, we wouldn't have to be in hiding if you people didn't come out and just snatch us in the middle of broad daylight. We were doing fine on our own. Peter rigged up these inhibitor chips to hide himself and Annie. Wait, hold on. Did you say inhibitor chips? And that's when Hawkeye says, we've been using cloaking technology to hide ourselves from superhuman scans. But if you have inhibitor chips, this could change everything. And so the Regent takes Spider-Man and Sandman back to his base of operations, where Dr. Stillwell has the D-Man on a dissecting table. Peter looks over and sees him and says, D-Man, I stood by and did nothing while you were captured. Now look at you. I'm sorry. I should have. But before he can say what he should have done, the Regent reveals that he can read Peter's mind, and he also knows Peter Parker's secret identity.
Oh, no. Oh, go on.
James, stop commenting on wrestling. Yeah, that was actually perfect timing, I gotta say. Basically, back at the Resistance base, they realized that the inhibitor chips could be the weapon they need to take down the Regent, because the inhibitor chips could inhibit Regent's access to all of his powers. All it needs is a sample of his DNA. Easy. All we have to do is make him bleed. I want you to make Spider-Man bleed! Sorry, Dane DeHaan moment. The Sinister Six is notified to the location of the Resistance base thanks to Regent probing Sandman's mind. And so the Sinister Six invade the stronghold. Meanwhile, Regent sets up Peter and Sandman in these little holographic cases or whatever. And he says, Peter, I need your spider sense because it is going to allow me to take down the man who created the world we walk on, Doom. So you killed all of Earth's heroes for their powers, and now you're going to kill me, and so you can take down Doom? Got it. You're insane. And so he basically tries to waylay to Spider-Man and Sandman. Meanwhile, Annie Parker at the Resistance base manages to take down the Sinister Six by basically fighting them in ways that they did not expect to be fought, because she's a 6-year-old girl. Meanwhile, Sandman was given a portal by Dr. Jonathan Owen, a.k.a. the Spot, who is with the Resistance at this point. He was given a portal, and when he got into the Regent's base, he opened it. And so it's given them a back door into Regent's stronghold. So Hawkeye and the Avengers move in to attack Regent's base, and MJ and Annie go with them because they have Spider-Man. To be concluded in early September or whenever the next issue comes out. I'm going to give my basic thoughts on the issue real quick because I just gave the summary, so I'll get it out of the way right now. I really did like this issue. I thought it was a pretty strong issue. I wasn't too big on the last one. Not that I disliked the previous issue, but I was pretty neutral on the last one. I thought that it had its pros and cons. I'm pretty positive towards this one. I thought this was a return to the quality that we'd had in the first 2 issues of the series. My biggest pro of the issue is definitely Annie Parker. I mean, I absolutely love how. First off, I loved how she took down the Sinister Six. I thought, I know some people complained, oh, the Sinister Six got taken down by a little girl. Well, have they ever fought a little girl before? Have they ever taken on someone who, can completely throw them off their game?
Kid their whole lives. But 6-year-old, does a 6-year-old really make a difference in them being beaten up by a 16-year-old kid? Actually, it kind of does it?
Yeah,
it kind of does.
Difference.
Because
there was a joke.
But Annie fights them in many unconventional ways, and so it makes sense that the Sinister Six would be taken aback by that. So I didn't have a problem with that. Plus, it was really just fun to see Annie just bite Boomerang's arm and try to claw Shocker's eyes out. I laughed out loud a few times during that sequence. I thought that was funny. I do like Annie's internal dilemma of having to, suppress all of her, all of her spider abilities because she does think, well, I'm special because of that. And, I think we can all relate to this. When we're forced to hide aspects of ourselves, especially aspects with which we can do amazing things, I think it does have a little bit of an effect on us, a negative effect towards our internal view of ourselves, a little bit of an effect on our outlook of the world. So I can understand that conflict, and I think it's a pretty strong conflict for a 6-year-old to have, definitely. I like the stuff with the Regent, mainly because we're finally tying this into Secret Wars, because
Thank God.
Because this book, there's the Secret Wars logo is up in the top corner there, and it has been really ever since this book started. But as James and I have said before, it's almost like this book isn't even tied into Secret Wars because nothing, it's not even addressing it at all. It's actually addressed in this issue, and I'm happy to hear that, we are talking about what's going on in Hickman's title and with Battle World and everything. So I like that. It's also curious to me that the Regent seems to know about Doom, but Peter clearly doesn't. I guess you could probably chalk that up to, Regent having all-knowing powers or whatever from various whatever.
I got a point I'll bring up when I get to give my review. I got a point there.
So I did like the Regent in this issue. Once again, I like the artwork. There's not really a whole lot else to talk about. Peter beating the crap out of the Sinister Six. Again, it's just Spider-Man beating the crap out of people. We've discussed this before. We understand it. We understand why he's doing it. It's getting a little bit old at this point, but we can understand why he's doing it. I thought Peter had some good quips in this issue. I liked his introspective moment with D-Man. Pretty in character for him. I liked his banter with. I liked how he didn't believe Sandman when he tried to help him. I did enjoy that moment. I enjoyed his banter with the Regent. So basically, that's all good stuff. I like Mary Jane. I like Hawkeye and the Resistance. I did like Ben Urich coming in and saying that, hey, I've been trying to help cover for you guys. I've been covering for you at the Bugle. That is actually, if we remember back to the first issue, Peter had that one moment where he thinks, does Ben know my secret identity? He knew Daredevil's, and so I did enjoy that moment. It kind of ties that in. It's a twist that I didn't really expect. I like the inhibitor chips part. I like that Peter basically invents the weapon to take down the Regent. I like that there is such an emphasis on Peter, that he is so important to the Regent. So definitely Spider-Man's a focal point of this book, and I really enjoy that. The cliffhanger, pretty solid. So overall, I don't really have any complaints with this issue. I give it a thumbs up. And James, I'm gonna have to ask you to take a break from commenting on the wrestling match you're watching, and I'm going to ask you, what are you thinking of Renew Your Vows number 4?
Okay, Jon Stewart from The Daily Show is in the wrestling ring, and he has a steel chair.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
Jon Stewart, we will miss you.
It's John Cena! Yes! Jon Stewart! Screw John Cena! Oh, yes! Awesome! Yay, Jon Stewart! Yay!
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Review the comic, please.
Wait a second. Just give me a second. The match is almost over. Referee, where's the referee? Come on, count. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Cena lost! Fuck yeah!
Well, I'm gonna have to edit this.
I didn't want him to break Ric Flair's record of 16 World Championships in 10 years, to break a 16-time championship record. God, I hate that guy. But I'm happy, yeah. But anyways, I forgot what I was going to talk about. The comic, right?
Renew Your Vows, number 4, yes.
Okay, I like the issue, and the only problem I have with it is still I'm waiting for that middle finger, and I think they're setting up with Annie and MJ and Peter being all in the same place of region at once. Either Peter's going to sacrifice himself, or Annie's going to get hurt, or... Because I got a feeling Region's going to kill them. And then that's going to tie into Region being like the final issue, and then 616 Peter taking him down now. That's what I think might happen. But besides that, rest of the issue I kind of liked. The Hawkeye stuff is classic. He ran away. He's a coward. He wasn't a real hero. He let us all die. And I like that kind of element because that's kind of like what Hawkeye felt during the Avengers days. He felt like Peter was kind of like a wuss, like, why don't you want to kill Norman? Why don't you want to take down Norman the same way I do? Like, Peter was all about, don't kill the guy, just arrest him. Well, we can't arrest him, Peter. So it kind of ties into that kind of Hawkeye, the one who kind of never really thought of Spider-Man as really an Avenger almost kind of even. And so I kind of like that. I kind of like the Ben York thing until you realize, wait a second, he was all about, I got to keep Daredevil secret. I got to keep Daredevil secret. Peter, yeah, his name is Peter Parker to the other heroes. Yeah, I've been secretly helping him out all these years by not revealing who he is to Jonah and, hiding shit from the papers and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I kind of like the MJ moments. The Annie part taking on the Sinister Six I thought was actually kind of cute, and kind of awesome that a 6-year-old girl can kick their ass. Because for the people who are complaining about it, this ain't the real Sinister Six. This is an alternative universe version of them. So them being taken out by a little girl in a comic that's going to be irrelevant by next issue, does it really matter? Seriously?
And plus, like we mentioned, she takes them on in a way that completely throws them off their game.
My only complaint is, and it should be my only positive, which is how we get to the whole, tying it into Secret Wars, which is, I wanted to kill you all to take all your power so that way I could fight Doom, who's the no-all God who created the universe. How does he know? One, how does he know that? And B, here's the big part. This is, 5 years later, or whatever it's supposed to be?
I have no idea.
Has taken place in the span of 5 years?
I have absolutely no idea.
Because that's what that's what it's saying. This has been his game plan since issue 1. So it's been 5 years Secret War has been going on. It's just this part doesn't make no sense.
Because comics.
I guess. Just that's the part. Rest of the comic is pretty good. Some of the quips are there. I like how Sandman's nice, back being the nice guy he was in the 90s and Spider-Man 3. Because I always kind of like that version of Sandman better than just...
I mean, what Spider-Man 3 wanted him to be as opposed to what he actually was.
Well, that's what I always liked about it in the 90s with Sandman, is that he wasn't a villain. Like, anytime he was in a villain plot where he was a villain, it was always because the villain's blackmailing me, forcing me bad again. And then during the Mackie Byrne era, it was like, I was evil all along. I tricked you all. No, that's not how it works. Actually come up with a reason for the guy to be evil again, besides of, I fooled you all these years, because that's not what fucking happened. But yeah, I would give this issue out of 5 stars. I would give this about a 3, maybe 3.5.
All right, Jan, what are you thinking about Renew Your Vows number 4?
Well, my friend, this is the first Renew Your Vows in the first Secret Wars time that I've read. Cat, stop playing with the freaking window. Anyway, this is the first Renew Your Vows, or Secret Wars that I've read, so I have no fracking idea what's going on. I don't care about Secret Wars, because honestly, it's completely irrelevant. It's going to be completely ignored by the time we get back to Amazing Spider-Man number 1, Volume 4, or whatever the hell it is, because it's like the 10,000th Spider-Man number 1 we've had. I don't care about Secret Wars. If the issue was fine, I didn't understand anything that was going on. Even though your point about the Sinister Six, like being from an alternate universe, so it's okay that they all got their asses kicked by a 6-year-old girl, I still find that kind of annoying that the Sinister Six haven't actually been legitimate threats since the 90s, because they were. I like that story in Slot's run where it was the one where the Sinister Six fought the Avengers. I can't remember what it was called. Into the Earth or whatever. That where they all get defeated by the Avengers, and it was a complete joke. I'm tired of the Sinister Six being a joke, just in general. Even if it's not the real Sinister Six, I want the badass Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Sinister Six again.
But they were never like that. They were always kind of bickering with each other, and that was always their downfall.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I want the threat back, and I feel like they haven't been. And maybe they were more threatening in the other issues of this Renew Your Vows. Because again, I haven't read any of the others.
No, they haven't. They've been taken down one by one, pretty much, haven't they, John?
Yeah, but that's mainly because Peter Parker is just not pulling any punches. I mean, his family's in danger, so he's gonna beat some people.
Well, let's see. Like, I feel like these characters should be more powerful than that. But I don't know. Whatever.
Back in black mode, pretty much. Of all glows are off. I'll even go as far as to try to kill you to protect my family, kind of.
Without the overemphasis on the dark tone, he's even wearing the black costume.
Yeah, true. But anyway, so like, I don't know. Like, I love the '90s Sinister Six story that Dave Michelinie and Eric Larson did. So I don't know. I was disappointed by that. Honestly, though, it was just a lot of jargon I didn't understand. So I don't even think I don't know. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like a 3. But it's all right.
All right. I mean, we seem to be kind of. I mean, I was pretty positive about it. I guess you guys are a little bit more mixed on it than I was, which, you know, you're all entitled to your own personal opinion.
I like it, but that's only because I'm getting ready. Like I can see the Marvel. They're winding it up. They're getting. This is the finger about ready for them to go. You know what I mean? Like this issue is setting up that middle finger that we all know is going to come at the end of the story.
I mean, James. And
everything, because everything that they're promoting right now at Marvel pretty much says this story's going to end really, really badly, or they're just never going to mention it again, even if it's a happy ending. So who cares?
But I mean, James. Just to go off of that point a little bit. What if the story ends well? I mean, aren't we kind of not really giving Marvel?
They're not. They're not, because when you hear those comments they had at Comic-Con about read the end of the story before you ask for a ongoing of this, I have a feeling that they're specifically setting it up to be a bad ending. And I don't want to be that pessimistic hater. It's just I'm so used to it now when it comes to the marriage, or Peter and MJ together. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure that they don't even get one book where in a different continuity they're husband and wife.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy that says, you know, oh, Marvel is, you know, because I really don't believe that Marvel is just this, you know, insidious company that just wants to, you know, irritate the Spider-Man fans. I really don't believe that. I think a lot of that is blown out of proportion. You know, I'm not going to bash James.
I agree with that, John, because in the modern business world, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to movies, and when it comes to TV shows and comic books, and even pro wrestling, which I'm watching right now, if you hate the product, they think of that as a plus because controversy creates cash. So if they say something like "get over the marriage," they're like, people are going to be, oh, I'm so mad at them. I got to read the comic to see what they're going to do to screw me over again.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Marvel is a business. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here, guys. Marvel is going to do what they think will get them sales. I mean, I really don't think that Marvel is this just insidious corporation that just wants to make us mad. I think they want to evoke some emotion in us so that we are compelled to read the stories. But I don't think that they are really. I don't think they're out to get us. I really don't. I think that Marvel is doing their job. You know, what the ending of this story will be, we'll just have to see. Maybe it will be something that we don't like. Maybe it'll be something that we do like. I don't want to be that guy who says, oh, it's going to be a middle finger, because, you know, I respect James. Heck, you know, James is my friend. He's on this podcast. Of course I respect him. I respect him very well. I disagree with that personally.
Well,
so
I'm not going to say that they wake up in the morning and think, how are we going to piss off everybody today? Oh, I hate the fans who read my book. I'm going to make sure they know I hate them. I don't think they're that way. But I'm just saying they're doing it because they think controversy creates cash. It's killing two birds with one stone. I think it is an ego thing. Like, I know me and John probably won't agree with this, but I think it is an ego thing between a lot of people at Marvel. It's they want their Spider-Man their way, and it's going to be their way or the highway. But I also believe that doesn't mean they hate us. It's just they truly believe their way is best, and they don't care what anybody else says. And is that not their nostalgia glasses of single Peter quipping about how hard it is life will mean? All they see is that. They don't see the fact that, like, for me, a person who came in, a kid who grew up in the 90s with the marriage, they don't see how that rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia to Spider-Man is him with Mary Jane. They're like, how can that be? It's not what I grew up with. How is that possible? That's what I think it is. I don't think it's a hatred thing. I think it's a rose-tinted nostalgic ego thing. Of my Spider-Man's the best, so I'm going to make sure you all love my Spider-Man the best.
I mean, we can only speculate on that. I mean, we're learning from we're giving off secondhand information here. We don't have the creators on this podcast to give comments, so it's all speculation on our part. So,
like the reason why I truly believe this is Comic-Con. Because not only did they kind of ignore the whole marriage question until it was asked of them in the Q&A, but even on a question about, well, what about Ultimate Peter and MJ? Because they kind of ran off together in the sunset. Are they still alive? And they said, they're dead, get over it. It was like, they don't even want to talk about them. They don't even want to touch them. You know, it's like, oh, we got Miles and that's all we care about. They're dead, get over it.
I mean, I would not be happy if this series turns out poorly for these characters. I would not be happy in the slightest. But I mean, I just basically the point I'm making is that I don't think we can really say, oh, Marvel are going to do something when we haven't seen the issue yet. So I respect James. I respect James very much.
I'm not saying it's wrote in stone. You can take it to the bank, bet on it. You know, it's going to happen. But I'm saying I'm ready for it. I'm bracing myself. I'm not going to get ready for a great ending to a great story when I've been through this before with Marvel multiple times since 2008. So I'm just ready for it. I'll be more. Let me just say it this way: I'm more shocked if they don't do it than if they do it.
But if they end it positively, James, will you be excited? Will you be happy for this universe?
I would be happy. But I would also be kind of ticked because it's like, then why aren't we getting an ongoing of this, or at least something out of this, or another sequel? Because the way it sounds, it was just a one-off storyline for Dan Slott to get the whole Peter and MJ thing that he wanted to do out of his system because Marvel won't let him touch it.
All right, but so we'll move off of Renew Your Vows. You know, I'm fairly positive towards it. James is fairly positive towards it. Jan is just lost.
Actually, so
Jan is more lost than Thomas when Superior ended on the podcast.
Yeah, we miss you, Thomas. For anyone who doesn't know who Thomas is, go into the back episodes of our podcast on iTunes. You will learn how not to do a podcast. Because oh man, we made some mistakes there. All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna move off from Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 4. We're going to move on to Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 20.1. I'm so sorry you can't see the cover. It's the bad lighting here. This is the final issue. This is the final issue of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3. Yay! So this volume lasted 20.1 issues. Yeah, okay.
Technically 26.
So we got a...
More like 30-something, because if you count...
More into Crawl? Yeah.
I was joking about the numbering. Thank you for ruining it. So we got credits for this issue. Jerry Conway as writer, Carlo Barberi as penciler, Juan Velasco inker, Israel Silva colors, letterer VC's Joe Caramagna, Yasmin Putri cover artist. I apologize if I'm butchering that name. Nick Bradshaw and Jim Campbell variant cover artists, assistant editor Devin Lewis, editor Nick Lowe. Pretty basic rundown of the issue. The gang war in New York City has completely broken out. It's, you know, the fit has hit the shan to clean up that little phrase there. So Spider-Man's running around doing his best Michael Jackson impression. This is bad, really bad, really, really bad. You know, I'm sorry. So Spider-Man's swinging around trying to, you know, just see what's going on. All of a sudden, he's intercepted by Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat, in her new costume, because as we all know, she got a new costume about a year ago with Slott's main Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3 run. She says that the gang war started because Spider-Man and the Wraith, by taking out Tombstone and Hammerhead, they pulled they basically created a power vacuum, and everyone's trying to take over the precinct. So as she leaves, the Wraith goes into Mr. Negative's hideout, and he reveals that basically he's the cause of this outbroken gang war, because earlier in the issue, Spider-Man thought to himself, why are they all breaking, why is this all breaking out today? Why is it all just now? And Mr. Negative says, well, basically his servants set the spark. They've caused people to basically go nuts, and they've set the stage for it. So the Wraith says, I'm going to take you out, Mr. Negative. And so Spider-Man tries to intervene, and he says, I still think you can be saved. I still think you can go back on the bad things you've done. I still think there can be salvation for you. And she says, no, I don't want salvation. This is who I am. When I took somebody out last night, I felt free. Yuri Watanabe, she was someone I made up. the Wraith is a ghost, and she's who I am, basically. So Spider-Man basically realizes, okay, this woman is beyond saving. She's not even worth my time at this point. So he goes out there. He goes after Wraith and Mr. Negative. He swings down, grabs the Wraith before she can hurt any innocent civilians that have been taken over by Mr. Negative's corrupting touch. She and Spider-Man fight, and Spider-Man takes her out with one punch. So Spider-Man intercepts Mr. Negative, who is running away. Takes him out with one punch. And then gives basically some story-ending exposition about how the world is a spiral, about how life is a spiral. Some go up, some go down, and some just go round and round. You spin me right round, baby, right round like a record, baby. Sorry. So yeah, I want to give my thoughts on this issue because, oh man, I really did like this issue until the very end. I was so disappointed with this ending, and I've got to say, I mean, it's been documented pretty well on this podcast. I've enjoyed this story. I really have. I've liked this story a lot. I went on my own website. I went on SpiderManFanRave.com, and I said this is the best Spider-Man story to come out in the past 5 years. I've said that on CBR. I've said that various other places. And boy, did they fumble the ball at the 1 yard line here. It's just, oh man.
I liked it.
This book is great. This book is absolutely fantastic. Really, up until the final fight between Wraith, really up until they decided, they realized, oh crap, we have all of 4 pages left, and we need to end the story now. So how are we going to take down the Wraith? Oh, we're going to take her out with one punch. Oh, how are we going to take down Mr. Negative? Oh, one punch. It's just like, I really don't think that's a satisfying ending. It's just, I like a lot of the stuff that they did here, but for me, this issue, it was going so strong, and then it just got into the crapmobile and went from 0 to 60 in 1 page. It was just, it was not a satisfying ending for me. I know other people have expressed satisfaction with this issue, and I'm glad that they liked the ending. I really didn't. I felt it was much too rushed. It felt almost like, oh crap, we overestimated, our setup time. We overestimated how much exposition we have, and now we have all of 2 panels to end the story. Okay, let's just do it that way. Oh, just not good at all. I mean, the rest of the issue is very good. There's a lot of great introspection from Spider-Man. There's a lot of great internal monologue. There's a lot of great conflict. I like what they did with Yuri in this. I liked what they did with Watanabe the Wraith. I didn't, Mr. Negative doesn't really leave that much of an impression on me, but that's just because I generally don't care about Mr. Negative. He's always been kind of a bland villain for me. So, I like all that stuff, but the disappointing ending, it brings this down to a neutral grade for me. It's not completely negative because of the good stuff that's in here. I will go through some of the good stuff in here. The artwork by Barbary and the team, I mean, once again, it's just gorgeous. I mean, I love this artwork. I think it's great. A pro that I do want to point out is that I think we've discussed this. I think I've actually discussed this before on this show. There's such a distinct difference between the quote-unquote evil Black Cat in this story and the Black Cat that was present in the main Volume 3 stories. And it's because that she's given a much different voice here. She's given a much different voice here that really is more in keeping with her character, at least in my opinion, and to me it doesn't come off as just generic villain dialogue that doesn't sound like it would come from Felicia's mouth. So I really did like that here, and plus, I like the new costume. I don't know what it is. I mean, it never really left much of an impression on me during the main Volume 3 stories with Humberto Ramos and Dan Slott, but here with Conway and Barbary, it looks good to me. I like the design of it. I like Spider-Man basically, realizing, darkness waits inside all of us, and I like the Wraith's turn at the end. But again, the quick, abrupt, unsatisfying ending almost completely destroys this issue. I got to give it a neutral thumb sideways. It's not completely a thumbs down. It's a thumb sideways. I'll be generous. I love this story until the last few pages. It was just oh man, did they fumble at the 1 yard line? And I was pushing for this story. I was the biggest proponent of this thing. I was loving every second of it, and it just disappointed me right at the end. So, Jan, I know you said that you read this issue, and plus you went last time. So we're gonna go to you, Jan. What did you think about Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 20.1?
I was not. I'll agree with you that Mr. Negative's defeat was disappointing, but I don't think this is like a long form. I think this is as much as it is its own story, like Spiral in general, not just this issue, but like it's this is as much as the 5 issues are like their own story. I think they're also setting up the Wraith to be a new Spider-Man, kind of like a member of Spider-Man's Rose Gallery going forward. So I think we'll probably see her pop up as a villain in Dan Slott's run when he picks back up with.
I think just an anti-hero.
Just to interrupt you for a second, I believe Axel Alonso did recently come out in an interview and say that this story will have ramifications in the upcoming Volume 4.
Exactly. So I think I'm seeing this sort of as a setup for Volume 4 in some ways. So I feel like that I'll forgive that easy defeat because she clearly gets away at the end, and I think maybe they're setting her up to kind of be a little bit like sort of what Punisher was back in the 70s, like that anti-hero that, you know, is kind of killing criminals and whatnot, and Spider-Man's trying to figure out how to stop her. So I think it's fine. And the Mr. Negative defeat, Mr. Negative is a character that I have very little knowledge of because I have not read very much of Brand New Day. That's one of my weak spots. I've read everything. I've read The Gauntlet, and I've read like most of what happened after Big Time, but I did not read Brand New Day. So, and I think Mr. Negative was more or less like the main villain for a while, wasn't he?
Not really.
He was Slott's big bad. I'll say that. So each writer had their different big bads.
Yeah, because when the brain trust was made up of up to 9+ different writers, each one of them had their own particular take on Spider-Man, and each one had their own quote unquote pet characters that they kept using.
Well, like the point I always bring up, Slott had the whole Aunt May negative Aunt May plot, and that would completely disappear for months on end before Slott came back on the book. And another writer, I think Guggenheim, really liked doing the whole Return of Harry Osborn stuff. So you would have a Harry development in his book, and then it would go 6 months until he came back, and then Harry would be brought up again. It's like, well, what's going on? We were supposed to leave him in rehab, and it ended in a cliffhanger, and now it's not being brought up again until 6 months later. There was a lot of stuff like that going on, and that's what happened to Negative. If he was in the book, chances are it was a Slott title. If Menace was in a book, I think chances are it was
Guggenheim.
Yeah, Guggenheim. If Joe Kelly was on the book, I think his main villain, I probably was, but he used what's her name, that hardcore chick that used the internet shit.
Screwball.
Yeah.
He used her a lot.
So, but anyway, I think Mr. Negative is like the only one that's still kind of around. Like, I think he was the only new villain because they introduced a lot of new villains, from what I understand, in Brand New Day, and that's actually I want to get to this trade.
Yeah, he's the only one who's stuck, but that's mostly, I think, because of the whole thing where a new writer will bring in a lot of his villains, and then as soon as he's off the book, his villains are gone. Well, Slott only created one villain, pretty much, and that was Negative, and he's still on the book. That's why he's getting reused. Once Slott's off the book, I don't know if Negative's going to stay. We'll see if Negative stands the test of time. Let's say that.
We'll see.
Oh, anyway. James, remember Paper Doll? Slott created her, too.
And we haven't seen her, since that first arc?
I know. That was.
Well, we saw her one more time because when that chick Peter was making out with issue 1, during the final issue of Brand, they go, let's see what was going on with that girl from the other issues. And it's supposed to be like in between the panels, there's her stalking Peter. And Paper Doll, the psycho stalker, person who was stalking MJ and her boyfriend, because everybody knows MJ needs another fucking stalker in her books. Guess what? She told the girl who was stalking Peter behind the panels to get a life because she's a stalker. Get it? It's irony.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so Mr. Negative's defeat was a little bit disappointing. I agree with that, and I'm confused as to whether or not he was arrested at the end. Is this supposed to be Spider-Man's first official defeat over Mr. Negative, or has that happened before? I don't know.
No, it's happened before. Mr. Negative was taken down, ironically, by Spider-Man and the Wraith in Amazing Spider-Man number 664. which was during Dan Slott's solo big time run, and basically that was the return of Anti-Venom story, and there was a lot of Eddie Brock stuff in that. And
that's like one big time I have not read, so that's why.
And that was also
during the Brian Day era. It was kind of like, okay, Kingpin's going to be in the Daredevil books, so we're going to introduce Negative as the new Kingpin. So you can have a lot of, oh, I'm a philanthropist. I'm just a rich businessman who owns a homeless shelter. That's all I am. And then it'd be like kind of like what happened with Fisk in the animated series, where everybody saw him as a super nice guy, and even kind of Daredevil a little bit. How how everybody saw him as the super nice guy on the TV show, and then it got revealed who he really was. That's basically what it was with him. Where Peter didn't even know. He was shocked when it's like you when he found out that it was just the guy with the color of his skin flip flop because of the whole negative effect.
Anyway, so that was disappointing. I'll give you that, but I really like Mr. Negative as a villain in this issue. Like, I think his like whole corrupting like theme is actually really fit for Spider-Man, since a big theme in Spider-Man is kind of pretty much from Amazing Fantasy 15. Spider-Man trying to fight against your natural selfish impulses and try to be more selfless. I think it's just always been a part of the character's history. So I think Negative actually is a really good fit for Spider-Man, and I'm interested to read more of his appearances now because of the story, even though he got taken out really easily. I really like all the stuff with the Gang War. I love the art. Honestly, this is just, I love I think Conway can write Spider-Man in his sleep now. I'm pretty confident, and hopefully he comes back and does another arc at some point. I really don't.
Are you going to pick up his upcoming Carnage ongoing?
I don't know. I might give it. I have a lot of comics I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be reading The Flash, Spider-Man. I think I have like 2 Spider-Mans I'm going to be reading. So I'm going to be reading Amazing, and then I'm also going to try to read Spidey, the new the Untold Tales kind of ripoff. And then I'm going to be reading Daredevil and Iron Man. So I have a lot. So I don't know. We'll see how much money I have and how good the reviews are before I pick it up. But I might give it a shot.
All right. So what would you give this, Jan? Thumbs up, sideways, down, anywhere in there?
Solid thumbs up.
All right, James. Do you have any thoughts on Amazing Spider-Man 20.1 here before we wrap this issue up?
I enjoyed it. Unlike John, I actually kind of like the ending because while Reef and Negative do have not really super well, Negative does, but Reef not really. It's more kind of smoke and mirrors, Mysterio crap. But kind of has the whole powers thing going on. They're still not credible Hulk, Screen Goblin, Doc Ock, super strength, realm. So one punch KO kind of makes sense.
Does Wraith even have any powers?
No, it's kind of like she's basically Mysterio, just smoke and mirrors.
Oh.
She's a wisp, a trace, a ghost.
You know what I mean, though? She's still human, and so is Negative. So, yeah, Peter, with his portion strength of a spider, should one-punch KO them.
What is Negative's powers, aside from, making people embrace their, inner demon?
He becomes negative, like a negative effect on your Photoshop. He becomes that. He corrupts you, and he cures cancer.
That's a weird power set.
That's how they explained Eddie Brock no longer having cancer in One More Day is when he volunteered in his last few days at the homeless shelter to repent his sins. Negative tapped him on the shoulder as his secret identity. I can't remember what his name was when he was just a legit Asian businessman. Martin Lee or whatever it was. And he goes, "Good job, Eddie," and the tap from the negative powers, negative affected the cancer and did not being there no more.
Yeah. But anyway, so Negative, this issue kind of converted me to Negative. He's a pretty cool character. I want to read more stuff with him. But anyway, James, go ahead. I'm sorry I'm interrupting you.
So like I said, they are kind of more human, grounded villains, so it made sense for the one. It's not insulting your intelligence by them landing punches on Peter. You know what I mean? It was, I'm done with this. No more gloves. Bam, it's over. I liked the only part I didn't really like about the ending was the whole kind of tie-in. The whole him explaining, see, some people turn good, some people go bad. Some people are just stuck in 360. Life is a spiral. Get it? That's the only part I didn't like. Is the name dropping. I see what you did there. It's not creative.
Well, I actually like that kind of ending monologue because, one, it was very classic Peter Parker, and I feel like it shows how much Peter Parker has grown. And I liked that. I'm just going to go on a side tangent here. I'm sorry, but I like that Peter Parker in this story, Jerry Conway is portraying Peter Parker as this very mature, grown-up guy who He's not the. I've been rereading all of the old Stan Lee and Steve Ditko Spider-Mans this week, like just in general. So those are all fresh in my head, and he's not like the Spider-Man who would have to like consciously remind himself to do the right thing. He's been doing the right thing for so long that it's just like a natural part of him now. Yeah. So I just really enjoyed his like kind of thing at the end, like this kind of like seasoned crime fighter who's been around the block a lot. I like, we don't see that Spider-Man anymore because I think Dan Slott writes him like he's still a 15-year-old kid, and I think Conway actually writes him like a 28-year-old man. So I like that, and I really like. When I read that dialogue, I could hear Josh Keaton, who's my like voice for Spider-Man. When I read the comics, I could hear him like delivering that. So I like that too.
Oh, yeah, but I see that, and in fact, I agree with that. Conway, I'm not gonna say everybody, but most people who enjoy Volume 3, I noticed this, and I brought this up to John and Jan before the podcast he went on there. A lot of them, when they're praising character development and character stuff all in Volume 3, they're talking about Spiral. That's not written by Dan Slott. That's written by Conway.
Yeah.
And that's telling you something right there. When people go, oh, people are complaining about Dan Slott just to compare about it. But what do you like about the one? Well, I like Spiral. I like the way Peter was portrayed in Spiral. I like the way, maybe a little bit of nostalgic factors from Spider Island. Oh, and I like the way they did Black Cat because him turning her heel, because look how cool it is, how she is in Spiral storyline, and how realistic it is. Again, none of those good things besides already you bringing up you like all the other Spider-Man in Spider Island. Everything else you said is all Conway. So that doesn't really count here when you're bringing up why Dan Slott is a good writer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even though I did really enjoy like the first 6 issues and the last 3 issues of Slott's run, like even though I have enjoyed a lot of stories in Volume 3 that Dan Slott wrote, everything but Spider-Verse I actually enjoyed. I hated Spider-Verse, and you guys know this, and the listeners know this, but everything other than Spider-Verse, even though I enjoyed it a lot, Peter didn't really change at all as a person. He was still the same Dan Slott, Peter Parker, wacky ADHD kid, And Conway writes him so much better than Dan Slott, and I don't know. It's just really nice to see a writer who I think really gets Peter Parker back on. So
apologies to anyone who has ADHD out there. That could not have been more condescending, Chan.
I have ADHD. I'm not condescending anybody.
But I see.
Okay.
Dan Slott writes Peter Parker. I think Dan Slott writes him the way he was when he was 28. And I don't want to seem like a jerk, like I'm saying Dan Slott's immature. But you know what I mean? No, he's writing him as he's the wild and crazy party guy. He's having all this fun. He's quipping. Look at all this awesome stuff. And it's like Conway's like, this is the mature evolution of the college-age Peter Parker I wrote in the 70s and the early marriage life Peter I wrote in Spectacular in the 80s. And here's the next evolution of the 28, almost in his 30-year-old. He's maturing. He's finally getting his act together. Where Dan Slott's like, yeah, he runs a company, but everybody hates him and is backstabbing him in the country. All that Parker luck. Gotta love that Peter. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and Conway also really nails, I think, the quips too. Like he still has the fun Spider-Man, but Peter Parker is more mature.
So, well, I said it's a natural progression from the Peter of the college days to now.
And I think, in my opinion, just the strength of the character stuff in Spiral is enough for me to forgive all the other flaws it has. So.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that you guys did enjoy the final issue of Spiral more than I did. It does warm my heart a bit to hear that people like stories and issues that I was not as big on. So it is nice to hear you guys say that. I think we are going to move off of Spiral. We're going to put that to bed. We're going to put the reviews to bed for this week, and we are going to move on to a few news topics because we do have some news that came out this week. The first piece of news that came out this week, we got the November 2015 solicitations, and in there is an Amazing Spider-Man number 1.1. Yes, we're getting another 0.1 issue, another decimal issue. I think it's pretty well documented on this podcast that we're not big fans of that whole idea.
Bring the satellite title back, damn it!
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I think we need satellite titles because I feel like they. I don't know. I would love to have more spectacular.
They have one writer. They have one writer, Dan Slott, in the main book. They're spreading him too goddamn thin. It's the 3 times a month and the 2 times a month is catching up to him. So they had to do these 0.1s with other writers to be it's like, then go back to satellite titles. Do what Superman books did in the 90s. Do what Spider-Man books did in the 90s.
Do what Superman books are doing now.
Satellite title at least fit in with the universe. Do that. You don't gotta have it being, okay, one book is one guy's writing, one book's the other guy's writing, one book's the other guy's writing. Just make it, you know, that it's connected. It feels like it's one big happy universe, and you can have one writer write something, and then Dan Slott can tie into later on, or vice versa, and do that. Don't you write one issues when you want to tell multiple different storylines to fit the whole 2 times a month or 3 times a month crap.
Well, yeah, and like, do what Superman and Batman are doing right now. Where there's 2 Superman titles. There's Superman and there's Action Comics, and then there's Batman, and then there's
25,000 Batman titles.
Yeah, there's like 50. Yeah, I know. But I mean, I don't understand why they don't just do multiple Spider-Man titles. Like do, you know, Spectacular Spider-Man, or well, actually, we're getting a satellite title with the Spidey book, but we don't. I don't know.
I don't count that. It's the same reason why I don't count the Miles Morales Spider-Man, you know, as a satellite title, because A, that's a different character, and B, the Spidey one is a all ages book, and it's also, I don't really count it because
it's a flashback title.
Yeah, it's a flashback title. It's not taking place in the now.
Is it even in 616, or is it a new universe?
I don't know. They're saying it's in continuity, but those leaked panels of the flashback to the origin where it's completely different makes me think otherwise. I think that's just a Comic-Con, you know, saving face kind of thing. Like, oh, it's in continuity, but it's really not.
Yeah, I doubt it's in continuity. I'll probably still read the first issue at least. But
we do have Amazing Spider-Man number 1.1. The special issue will be written by Jose Molina, and it will be penciled by Simone Bianchi. Oh, I apologize if I'm butchering that name.
Jose Molina, wasn't he the one who wrote like Marvel Knights or Sensational?
He did some other work. I completely forgot. Oh, he worked on Agent Carter, the TV series. I'm not familiar with any of his other work.
Because that name sounds familiar. I think he wrote on either Marvel Knights right before the name change or Sensational after the name change. But don't quote me on that, because I'm not up to those issues again on the JMS stories, which I have the finished version of the issue now for the next issue. Amazing. I'll give that to John as soon as it's over. I just remembered it. I'm an idiot.
All right, but basically this .1 issue is going to revolve around Spider-Man having to team up with the Centurions, which is basically they're going to be fighting a group of the undead. They're not zombies, but they're just the undead.
Marvel zombies.
Whatever. The solicitation for this issue is that the dead are walking in Harlem, and Spider-Man's going to do something about it. But when the trail leads straight to the Centurions, Spidey finds out he's bit off more than he can chew. Television's Agent Carter, writer Jose Molina, and superstar artist Simone Bianchi, I apologize, bring the hero's hidden since Daredevil father back into the spotlight. 32 pages, rated T, $3.99. So I guess I just want to get basically, anyone have any general interest in this? I think it sounds, you know, I'm pretty neutral towards it right now. I'm willing to give it a chance. What are you guys thinking about this this special .1 issue?
I will say that Spider-Man versus Zombies does sound pretty badass, but I'm not sure if it's going to go the direction that I want it to. I don't know. Like I read something about it, like doing questions of faith, and I don't know if Spider-Man is the right character to explore religion with. Like I think Daredevil and Thor and those, maybe even like Superman, are better characters to explore religion with than Spider-Man. I don't know if that's a good fit, but it could work, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care about the what are the characters that they're introducing again?
I really don't have a lot of familiarity with them. In fact, this is the first time I've heard of them.
Me too. I don't know how to think about that. So I don't know. I might pick it up. We'll see how the reviews are. I think the reviews and whether or not you want me to buy it basically will dictate if I pick it up or not. But I'm not hating it so far.
All right, James, what do you think about this .1 issue?
I think I will pick it up. I'll say this right now. I will definitely pick it up. I will check it out. I'm not really big into zombies as a lot of people are. I like playing Plants vs. Zombies, and if zombies are really good in like a movie or something, I'll pay attention to it. It's just I'm not you won't see me like, you know, being all, oh, my bumper sticker says I will break for zombies, or what you see, you know, people like bumper stickers now. I don't want to go that far. So that part doesn't really thrill me, but it's just seeing how it is, and you know, it is a .1, and because Spiral was, I have to say that my two favorite issues of Volume 3 were the .1, Sorting the Crawl and Spiral. So I'm going to see if it's third time's the charm, or is it Three Strikes You're Out. That's what I'm going to see.
All right, but like I said, I'm fairly neutral towards the concept since we haven't since the book has not been released yet. We haven't read it yet. I'm willing to give it a chance. I will be picking it up because it's Amazing Spider-Man. So I will be picking it up. But basically, moving off of the .1 issue, we got November 2015 Spider-Man Felicitations released this past week. There's not a whole lot in there that I want to discuss, but some of the things that I want to bring up, obviously, Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, Number 3, written by Dan Slott, art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. We got two covers. The main color is by Alex Ross, and that features Spider-Man on the side of a building with the Human Torch behind him. And the other variant cover is by Gabriel Dell'Otto, and it's just Spider-Man just crouched on a building looking badass. It's awesome. I gotta say, Ross and Dell'Otto, gorgeous covers for this. I mean, these are fantastic pieces of artwork right here. And the big thing about Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, Number 3 is that Spidey's going to be taking over the Baxter Building because when we visit Parker Industries' New York headquarters, the building is in the Baxter Building, which means that who knows, where's the Human Torch going? Where's the Fantastic Four going? What's going to be happening with them after Secret Wars? We don't know at this point.
They're hiding from the bad reviews of their new movie.
Oh, I was kind of hoping no one was going to bring that up. I was rooting for that movie too.
Me too. I was rooting.
What happened?
But
you guys broke up. What happened? I didn't hear that part.
I made a joke about the Fantastic Four hiding from their new movie. Because John was like, where are the Fantastic Four going to be in this new Marvel status quo? And I said they're hiding from the bad reviews of their new movie. And then John...
The director is.
What?
You mean like the director is. It's not my fault, it sucks. Bye! Got fired from Star Wars because of that, because he was going to do a Star Wars movie. Because he basically told Fox, not my fault, it's Fox's fault. Well, then you're off Star Wars.
Anyway, some other solicitations that are coming out. We also have... obviously, Amazing Spider-Man number 1.1. The first two issues of Jerry Conway's Carnage series. The first issues of Venom Space Knight, Web Warriors, Spider-Woman, Silk, all new, all different Avengers. I just yanked my earphone out. Uncanny Avengers has its second issue and also its first annual. How it got an annual after two issues, I don't know. Spider-Gwen has her second issue, Spider-Man 2099.
Is there an annual for Volume 3? I don't remember. Is that why they're making up for Volume 3 not having one?
No, Volume 3 had an annual. It was actually my favorite story outside of Spiral. It was really, really good.
Honestly, I don't even remember them having one.
Basically, the plot is that Spider-Man and Hawkeye team up to get Spider-Man finds someone lost their phone in New York, he finds a cell phone laying there, and Spider-Man and Hawkeye try to get people their phone back. It was actually really funny, and it was a really cool street level story.
And then basically we just got a couple more trades coming out. So I guess I'll just say one thing I did notice in these solicitations: no Miles Morales Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. That was a little bit interesting to me.
They already canceled it?
No, I doubt they already canceled it because I don't think they're gonna. I really don't think they're going to. But
I'm not saying they're gonna cancel it because I think the book's gonna suck. But I would just say I can find it funny in Marvel. They get the comic, and then Morrison writes. Oh no, I was Grant Morrison. Why did I say that? Bendis writes it, and they get it out. They go, and then Ultimate Peter and MJ show up. They're dead. Rewrite it.
But I want to get your guys' thoughts. I mean, obviously we're all going to pick up Amazing Spider-Man because we're all on this podcast and I'm a complete dictator. But, I mean, what other titles are you guys going to pick up? Personally, for me, I'm looking at Spider-Gwen. I want to pick up Miles Morales if it comes out. And Web Warriors is actually sounding kind of interesting to me. I'm thinking about checking that out. What titles are you guys thinking about checking out?
I'll let James go first since I cut him off last time.
I might pick up Venom. Web Warriors, it depends. I might, depending on what I hear from reviews first. Avengers, I'm going to pick up because it's the main Avengers title. And I'm checking the list right now, and those, and Spider-Gwen, those are probably about the only ones I would want to pick up.
Okay, first I have a question. Is Spider-Gwen in the 616, or is she still in her own universe?
No, she's still in her own universe. I've been reading some of the solicitations, and I have not read the original Spider-Gwen series. I haven't even read the Edge of Spider-Verse #2 that she was in, but I'm really getting intrigued by what they could do with that character. So I'm really thinking about going through the first volume of Spider-Gwen, and I'm pretty much sold on picking up the second volume. I think Spider-Gwen's a pretty good concept. I think it's an interesting character.
I do find it kind of creative, if I can interrupt Jan for a second, that the Zero issue is this Edge of Spider-Verse story. It's kind of like what they did over a decade ago with Spider-Girl, how that What If, where she first appearance, was re-released as issue 0, and they're doing that again with Spider-Gwen. I kind of think that's kind of cool that way. You get her origin issue, if you're somebody who's jumping onto the book right now. It's like, boom, first issue 0, it's the origin, and then issue 2 is, and then issue 1's continuing on, from here.
Yeah, well, Spider-Gwen sounds like an awesome concept, and that does sound like really interesting.
Yeah. So my books, I'm for sure picking up are the amazing titles, because I'm on the show, and John would kill me if I didn't cover them. So amazing titles, 2099. Because I'm a big fan of 2099, and I love what was going on before the book got canceled because of should we call it a cancellation, because it got prematurely ended because we're canceling all the books for Secret Wars. But I like what they're doing there, so I'm gonna pick up that. I'm gonna pick up Spider-Gwen because I like the first arc of that. I'm gonna pick up Avengers because that's the Avengers title, and I'm iffy on a few of the others.
Okay, Spider-Gwen sounds cool, but I don't know if I have the disposable income to buy it.
Well, some things I'm not gonna buy. I'm gonna wait for reviews, and I got Marvel Unlimited, and then I'll wait 6 months.
Yeah, well, and so Spider-Gwen, I don't know. Silk, I heard.
That's what I did with 2099. I read for pretty much all of that through I have Spider-Man Unlimited on Marvel Unlimited.
But I'm gonna. I heard decent things about Silk. I don't know if either of you guys read that.
I'm not picking it up because I don't support her. I
have not read Silk. I was not a fan of her in Amazing Spider-Man, so there was really no incentive for me to buy that book.
Here's the thing.
That's what I mean. It's only kind of disingenuous for me. I know a lot of people are saying this too. It's like, because you demanded it, here's another ongoing Silk book. And I don't hear that many people actually demanding it.
The sales, evidently the sales for Silk were pretty good. My local comic shop, it was a sellout for Silk's title.
Anyway,
not here was it? I'll just say that, but different areas, different likes. Because I don't hear the Silk book sad on the shelves, from what I understand.
But I heard that I didn't dislike Silk that much in Amazing. She was just a completely blank slate. She didn't have any personality. She was just kind of there. She didn't really get any characterization. And I feel like her origin is so interesting that I think a more talented writer could come in. And I'm not saying Ganslot isn't talented, but I think someone like Robbie Thompson, who I'm a huge fan of his work on Supernatural, and he's really great with.
I'll say this one thing about Silk. Rereading a lot of those Ezekiel storylines for GMS, for the GMS articles I'm writing, I'm trying to think of it as, okay, in continuity in 616, she's retcon. She's in the background there. And there's a lot of Star Wars. Peter's our only hope. You're the only one that can stop this thing. You're the spider god. The spider god wants the only pure spider, or all this crap. And it's like, well, you have a fucking another one in your dungeon somewhere.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm saying, just her origin. The idea of the spider biting somebody else is really cool. And, I don't know, I feel like a good writer could make her a really interesting character. It's kind of the spider, the spider-powered hero that didn't get any, attention. Everyone knows about Spider-Man, but kind of like Supergirl, how they're selling that new Supergirl show. kind of like that. It could be interesting.
The only problem I had with that is Supergirl. I think they're going to do the whole she's in the shadow of Superman. Where Silk, they never did that with her. They
Well,
were
not
like,
in Amazing.
how cooler she is.
Well, maybe not. Maybe in Amazing, but you haven't read the Silk title. Maybe they did do that. Like, I don't know. I haven't read it, so they could have done that. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying.
From what I heard, they weren't. Her title, it was just pretty much setting up Black Cat as her supervillain.
I don't know. But whatever. I'm probably not going to read it, but I'm just saying that I'm not completely against it. Carnage, I already kind of talked about that, but I might check it out. I'm going to pick up at least, they didn't mention it in solicits, but I am going to pick up at least the first issue of Spidey and give it a chance because it could be good. I'm probably going to pick up 1.1 just because, for this podcasting, because I'm kind of a completionist when it comes to Spider-Man stuff. And I'll also probably pick up, obviously Amazing, and that's about it. So, yeah, I'm probably just going to pick up Amazing and 1.1 and then maybe Spidey, depending on how much I like that first issue.
All right, but I wanted to bring the solicitations up. I just wanted to get kind of an idea of what we're all going to be buying going into the last quarter of 2015. Another news topic that I do want to bring up, and this is pretty much completely self-indulgent on my part, because I don't know, have I ever mentioned that I like the Amazing Spider-Man movies? Has that ever come up?
Never.
I think like that that might be a secret. Some people may not know that. That may just be an Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man 2 figure back there. It may not be. But I did. There was a piece of news out.
Yeah. We and Jan just say this, that if the day came when you brought it up again, we would walk out on a strike from the podcast. Gentlemen, that day is today.
As James walks out. But no, I like this story because I do think it is relevant to current Spider-Man news. Andrew Garfield kind of gave his blessing to Tom Holland a bit because he did an interview with Entertainment Tonight, and they asked him about Tom Holland's casting and the upcoming Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man. And he said, Tom Holland, he's a great actor. He does a lot of great work. I loved his movie, The Impossible. So he said he was pretty much very, very supportive of Tom Holland. And also when they asked him, what do you, are you bitter or are you sad that you're not playing Spider-Man anymore? He's like, I'm just happy to be a fan again. I'm happy to not be bearing the weight of it. I'm excited. All of that stuff. So Andrew Garfield gave, I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to get people's thoughts on that. I mean, what do we think of Garfield basically passing the torch in a sense and being supportive of the new actor?
Well, I think we all know that Garfield seems like a pretty chill guy, and I don't know, it doesn't surprise me at all. Like, I don't know, I think we're all kind of feeling the same way he is. Everyone except for my friend Bobby, everyone is pretty much supporting Tom Holland, and I don't know, I think it's a pretty exciting time to be a Spider-Man fan. Look at the as far as I know, the books are all selling really well. Spider-Man's monthly title is doing pretty well, and there's a lot of spin-offs and new stories coming out that we're at least somewhat looking forward to, I think. And there's a new reboot on the horizon, and it feels like maybe I think there's a possibility that we might kind of Spider-Man has not been the #1 superhero in a few years, and I feel like maybe he might kind of the second Spider-Man renaissance might come to fruition in a couple years. So I feel like we're kind of on the edge of that. So.
All right, James, what do you think about Garfield and Tom Holland, basically being on amicable terms?
I don't really have no comment, because what is he supposed to say here? Is he supposed to say, I hate it, I should be Spider-Man, fuck this guy, and fuck the new movie, my Spider-Man was superior? No, because, you got to be like that, because, it's a public image, you're a celebrity. You don't want to piss off the wrong people by saying, fuck you, you took my job, kind of. I'm not saying he feels that way, I'm just saying, though, what is he supposed to say here? Kind of thing.
I mean, not all actors from previous movies have been supportive. Remember James Franco and Willem Dafoe all coming out and saying, yeah, Amazing Spider-Man kind of sucks.
That's my point, though. They said that, and a lot of people, even the people who didn't like the movie, was like, guys, that's kind of a dick movie. You wouldn't want nobody saying that about your movies, kind of. So I can see Andrew being kind of not saying that. I'm not saying that he really feels that way or doesn't feel that way. I'm just saying, you're a celebrity, you're a big time actor. You're not gonna come on and say fuck you, fuck this actor, fuck all of you. I don't give a shit. Bye. I'm bitter. He's not gonna do that. So that's why I have no real opinion on it. Because it's like, you hear this all the time where people say, yeah, I support this vision 100%, and then, in real life you find out years later, oh, I never supported it.
Anyway, I just thought it was a cool story. I like seeing previous actors, be supportive of the new guys. I think that's a cool story. I thought it was cool when Tobey Maguire did the same thing with Andrew Garfield when he was Spider-Man. So I thought that was cool. And also, shout out to Andrew Garfield because his birthday was this past week. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, so he turned 32. So shout out to Andrew Garfield. Happy birthday, sir. We are going to move on to our final news topic. That we're kind of segueing into it with that little bit of movie news there. We are going to discuss a few things about Captain America: Civil War and Spider-Man's involvement. I will say this to the viewers and listeners right now. You probably want to, if you don't want spoilers for the new movie, we're not going to give away like anything big or anything because, to be honest, there's not a whole lot of gigantic stuff out there.
Spider-Man dies.
John, we're not going to spoil Civil War for them. We're not going to tell them that Peter Parker unmasked to the press conference, then had second thoughts for it after seeing a prison full of superheroes being put into a super prison, and then Tony Stark became a big douchebag. Peter left his side, got saved by Punisher, joined Captain America's side, and then Captain America died and Aunt May was shot, and he became all black and black, and then the devil gave him a deal for her life that involved erasing his marriage. We're not going to spoil that anyways. Oh, wait, wrong continuity.
All right, so if you care about spoilers, you may want to turn it off now. But if you're not too concerned with spoilers, you can keep going. Hey, James just left. But anyway, so we are going to give about I'll give a little bit 10-second countdown here for the spoiler section. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. So we are going to go into some Captain America Civil War news. Basically, what we found out is that Tom Holland is probably going to have a bigger role in this film than we thought. Peter Parker and Spider-Man, from what we know, is actually on. If we're counting it as Team Steve and Team Tony, Team Cap, Team Iron Man, Spider-Man's actually going to be on Team Iron Man, and he's actually going to do battle with Captain America. I have not actually read the articles, but from what I hear from secondhand information, he does do battle with Captain America. Is that a fair, accurate statement?
Well, yeah, and it sounds like his. I mean, they haven't said this, but it's kind of been insinuated, and I think it's a decent comparison. I think what's going to happen is Spider-Man's going to be like Quicksilver was in X-Men, the most recent X-Men, where he's the kid. They kind of go to him and they have him do a thing for him, and then he leaves. Like, I don't think he's going to be throughout the movie, but I think he probably will have like one scene that kind of showcases his powers and kind of gives you like a little bit of a tease of what his movie will be. And I've heard that he has a really dorky fight scene. The script is like really dorky, so I think Peter Parker probably there's probably going to be some kind of comedy to it. Like, I doubt it's going to be a really dramatic moment. It'll probably be kind of like, sort of like Quicksilver was, like sort of a scene that gives some levity and lighten the mood a little bit before everything gets really dark after he leaves. So I think he'll probably fight Captain America in like a really funny scene and then kind of go on his merry way.
I mean, and they've not revealed the costume yet, despite what about 10 different news sources have tried to insist over the past 6 months. Please, people, for the love of gosh, please, just stop. No one believes you. Just stop. Basically, we know that Tom Holland he's going to have a fight scene. He's going to be in a bigger role in the movie because they've announced him on the official cast list, and so they would not put. I don't think they would put someone on their official cast list if they didn't have at least something to do. So he is going to be on Team Tony. He's going to have a fight scene with Captain America. I think James brought it up to me before the show that there's a rumor that Tony Stark makes the Spider-Man suit for him. James, can you elaborate on that at all? He's eating Cheetos. I apologize. At least we know his mother. At least we know his mother taught him well. He doesn't talk with his mouth full. Good on you, James.
Okay. I had to make sure I got it all down. Pretty much. Oh, sorry, burps like there. Yeah, pretty much from what I've been hearing on a lot of the rumor sites is that Peter has the makeshift costume that's going to be like really, really homemade looking, and then Tony says, "I'll make you a better suit, kid," and then makes him a new one, pretty much.
And so, my question is, can we expect something? With his own original makeshift costume, can we expect something like the original Amazing Spider-Man 1 costume with tennis shoe bottoms, the sunglass lenses? Or do we expect the classic Spider-Man suit and then maybe Tony gives him the Iron Spider suit?
If I had to guess, I would say it's kind of a clearly sewn by a 16-year-old kid version of the classic suit. Maybe a little, to make it tied into the Ditko, it has the stitching not all lining up and the web pits and stuff like that. And then Tony gives him the Iron Spider suit, and then after the movie, in his solo movie, he, Peter, because he's so smart, he, reverse engineers the Iron Spider suit into being the classic, red and blue suit.
I think what will happen is it'll be kind of like the Daredevil suit from season 1, where he has, the black, it's just, sports gear,
Right through table! Sorry, pay-per-view.
Where it looks like Matt Murdock just bought a whole bunch of sports gear from Dick's Sporting Goods or something and sewed them together and then made this really kind of crappy looking stitched together black ninja suit, and then he gets the actual Daredevil suit at the season final. So I think it'll probably be kind of like a stitched together, really rough looking version of the Spider-Man suit. That's what I'm expecting. Maybe a T-shirt with the Spider logo and just kind of a red mask and stuff.
And everyone's been speculating how much of a role will Spider-Man have in this movie. Is he going to have a presence? And when I say presence, is there going to be any sort of significance to him besides him basically just showing up as a commercial for go check out whatever Spider-Man movie in 2017 made by Marvel and Sony. Is he going to just be an advertisement for another movie, or is he going to have an actual role in the plot? I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do we think that Spider-Man is really going to have any significance in this film whatsoever?
Oh, I'm sure he will. I mean, he's Spider-Man. He's Marvel's. I'd argue he's still probably Marvel's most popular character outside of Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Wolverine are probably the 3 top ones right now. And Daredevil's rising up there.
Saying where he goes, Iron Man's the most popular flagship character, so Marvel Comics are gonna make him the most popular flagship character. Even everybody's going, it's still Spider-Man. He's the one getting most of the titles.
Yeah. That is a quote that was given by some Marvel executives that they are trying to push Invincible Iron Man by Brian Bendis and David Marquez. They are trying to push that as the new flagship title.
I'll be honest, Iron Man, from a universe standpoint, because Spider-Man is a weird thing because he was always the flagship character, but his stories had very little significance to the Marvel universe. He was always just kind of fighting Doc Ock and Green Goblin and doing his own. His stories are always very self-contained for the most part. So whereas Iron Man is very much at the center of the Marvel universe, everything kind of revolves around him to an extent, him and Cap. So I think making Iron Man the flagship character makes sense. But I think Spider-Man is still the most popular character and probably the most recognizable character. So I'm sure he'll have, like I said, Quicksilver. He'll be a really memorable, really fun, awesome sequence. But I doubt he'll have more than 1 or 2 big scenes. He'll probably show up, do something really cool that's exciting and gets fans going. Oh, this is gonna be great. And then he'll probably kind of be written out a little bit, so they can focus more on.
I don't think he's going to be one getting most of the screen time because let's face it, that's going to be Tony and Cap. Yeah. But I think he is going to get more screen time than people are expecting. I think he will. They might have a scene where you see him maybe in the opening shot of the movie. Maybe it's a shot of New York and he's web swinging, and then the next shot is the next shot is his next scene. It's that one fight that everybody's saying. But then during the final superhero fight, he's going to swing in and he's going to join in it. I think there's going to be those 3 big scenes. And probably the end credit scene, that will probably be him. Then it will probably be setting up his movie with one of his villains that I got to get rid of this kid once and for all or something like that.
Well, and I'm sure we'll see at least one scene with Aunt May because they casted her. I think the fact that they casted her so early, as far as we know, those are the only two characters they have cast. I'm sure they're looking for. I'm sure they're casting, the villain and the other supporting characters as we speak.
Well, if they do have Aunt May in it, I don't think it's going to be that big of a scene. I think if they do, they'll mention her. They'll say, "Oh, just let me call my aunt." I don't think we'll see her, but I think we'll get a reference. "Oh, let me call my aunt real quick" or something like that. And that's gonna be it.
We'll see her though, because I think maybe we'll like see her watching it on the news or something like that. Like we'll probably get one throwaway scene with her just to kind of show that she's there.
And I do want to point out that the Marissa Tomei thing, I mean, we talked about that several weeks ago, that still has actually yet to be confirmed. I don't think anyone's even acknowledged that yet.
Oh, they confirmed that. It's confirmed.
Well, it's not.
No, it's not. It is not confirmed.
I thought it was like...
It's confirmed in like public opinion because Jerry Seinfeld tweeted out, "Hey, George dated Aunt May," and then the director of the Spider-Man movie quoted that, or retweeted it. And then some people go, "Oh my God, it's confirmed!" Well, it's not. It's just could be just, "Oh, Jerry Seinfeld's talking about my movie. This is sweet. I'm going to retweet it."
Yeah, we've not heard anything official from John Watts or Kevin Feige or Amy Pascal or anybody. So,
what do you guys think of that though? If it happens, like, I didn't hear your guys' opinion on that. What do you think?
I think you should go back to a previous episode and listen to it, buddy. But I mean, I think at this point with Spider-Man and Civil War. I think with Spider-Man and Civil War, the other big thing is Tom Holland. From what we've heard about his casting decision, the casting process with him, he had to do a read-through with Robert Downey Jr. To look for chemistry between the two. That's kind of speculating that there's going to be maybe a mentorship with them. Maybe there's going to be.
Well, I heard that he also did a read-through with Chris Evans too. So.
Because in Civil War, there's some big moments where he's talking to both Cap and Tony in the comics, where they might not be doing them exactly word for word, but we'll probably get a moment if Peter does switch sides to Cap's side midway through the movie. We'll probably get like that whole kind of speech where he ended it with, "Can I walk your books to school, Cap?" and kind of thing he did. I could see him doing like a similar scene to that where he talks to Iron Man. And then, talk to Cap, and maybe earlier when Iron Man's recruiting him, you have a similar scene of, "I can protect you and your family if that's what you're worried about," and stuff like that.
And as I've kind of insinuated here, I mean, what was happening here was that Black Panther was pretty much originally pushed when he was announced to be in this movie. They said, "Oh, Black Panther is going to be kind of the middleman. He's almost kind of going to fill the Spider-Man role." Now that Spider-Man is confirmed to be in this movie, they have him cast. They have Tom Holland showing up on set. Spider-Man's clearly going to be in the movie. He has a cool fight scene.
I think he's still going to be neutral Black Panther, but only because I'm not going to get. This is between two American laws. I'm the king of my own king of my own country. Yeah, I'm not going to get involved in this bullshit. But if you put me into it, you're going to force my hand. I think that's what they mean by that.
And do we think that this movie will I think they've come out before and said this movie is definitely Civil War, almost in name only. This is our version of Civil War. This is a very different story.
I don't think anyone actually likes the comic book Civil War. Like, I've heard nothing but pretty bad things about it.
I've heard people who like it quite a bit, and I have a lot of problems with it.
I'll say it's mixed at best.
I would say it's mixed at best as well. I have a lot of problems with it. There are some good aspects to it, but I have a lot of problems with it. I have heard a lot of people who like it, though. Do we think that maybe they're going to kind of step away from that, and maybe they're going to kind of step away from the, we're not going to do the Civil War of the comics? Do you think maybe they will kind of lead more towards an adaptation of it, or, now that we do have Spider-Man and it is, obviously he's not going to take the mask off. That's pretty obvious. That's not going to happen.
We might get a moment where Iron Man's going to say, "If you're with me on this, Peter, you're going to have to take off your mask." And then we get to that moment where he's about to take off his mask and something interrupts it, or that's when he has to change of heart and he gets halfway through there and then he just says, "I can't do it," and he gets out of the building or something like that. Like, I could see something like that maybe. Because they're not going to demask him right before his solo series takes off.
Well, and they've been talking all about how his solo series is like entirely about the dual, they cast Tom Holland because he was both able to embody the nerdy kid and the wisecracking hero, and I think it sounds like his solo movie is going to be sticking pretty closely to the classic Stan Lee and Steve Ditko run. So I doubt he won't lose the mask. It's basically confirmed.
And with with him obviously being with Tony Stark and maybe he changes sides. I mean, he does have a fight scene with Captain America in the movie. Maybe he changes sides. I mean, one of my favorite panels and moments in the whole Amazing Spider-Man Civil War involvement in that storyline was when during the battle where Spider-Man is fighting Captain America, and Cap throws his shield at him, and Spider-Man says, "I just got hit with the symbol of this country," and that's what really registers with him, and that's when he starts to think, "Oh crap, I really screwed up." I mean, that's one of my favorite moments in that entire storyline, and so we're kind of just this is all speculation. We know very, very little about Spider-Man's role in this movie, and it's kind of why I wanted to do this topic is we're just throwing out some predictions right now. I realize this probably dates this episode because if anyone's listening to this, maybe after the movie comes out, 9 months from now, you're obviously going to be looking back on it with hindsight. But as we are here in August of 2015, way before the film comes out, it's interesting. It's kind of interesting to think, 6 months or approximately 6 months ago, we still thought we were going to be getting, Andrew Garfield in 2018 with Amazing Spider-Man 3. But now that's completely just gone. We have Tom Holland, we have John Watts, we have Spider-Man in Civil War, and so just what are we thinking about this whole Civil War thing? Do we approve? Do we approve of what we're thinking? Just what is everyone's? I don't want to limit it to the approval thing. Just what is everyone's general hopes that happens with Spider-Man in Civil War? Personally, for me, I'm hoping that he does have. I mean, I don't want him to take time away from Captain America because I want my Cap solo movie. I love Chris Evans as Captain America. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and I'll always push for. And plus, I've been pumped for Civil War pretty much since Age of Ultron. During that one brief scene where Cap and Tony started to fight a little bit, I fanboyed a little bit at that. So I've been pretty pumped for this movie. I don't want Spider-Man to have too much presence, but I don't want him to be there just as an advertisement for another movie. I want him to be there, make an impression, do what he needs to do, and then kindly set himself up for a solo movie if in any way possible, and then we'll see what happens from there. I mean, what are you guys thinking?
Well, I'm actually not that pumped for Civil War because I've never been a huge fan of stories where superheroes fight each other. I don't know. I just never that's just a taste thing. I just never care for. I mean, having the one obligatory superhero versus superhero fight is always fun, but we kind of already got that in Avengers, and I mean, storylines in general where superheroes fight each other. I'm just kind of sick of it, and like that idea overall. I'm not really looking forward to Batman v Superman for the same reason. I want superheroes to team up, not to fight, and I'm sick of the superhero team up or the superhero fight cliche. So, and also since it's a Cap movie, we know that it's ultimately going to be portrayed as Captain America's story. So I feel like that takes some of the punch out of it being Civil War because it's still a Captain America movie. So, because of that, the movie's already going to be biased against one side, and I feel like this kind of movie only works if you're completely objective and just showing both sides. And I'm worried that Iron Man's going to be the bad guy, and I actually like Iron Man more than Captain America, so that worries me a little bit. But I'm excited for Spider-Man's role in it because I just want to see what Tom Holland, how he plays the character, and how they kind of portray his powers and everything. And I want to get a little tease of what I can expect for the new franchise. So I'm not excited for it. The movie for me this summer is totally X-Men. That's the one I'm on the hype train for. But I'm looking forward to seeing how Tom Holland portrays Spider-Man. So I just hope we get a decent, a tidbit of how, kind of what his Spider-Man's going to be.
All right, James. What are your thoughts on all of the Spider-Man Civil War stuff that's come out right now that we know of that is official, not that rumor crap that people are making up just to get hits?
I'll wait till I see the movie pretty much to make my for sure comments because I don't want to say, oh, this is bad, this is good, and literally we've seen zero. But I do think it's I do think that some of the stuff that we heard that are I don't want to say confirmed true, but the stuff that we are pretty sure it's going to happen, I like. I hope they make Spider-Man a little bit more, better. Like we said, there's always been like that thing with there's been the great Peter Parker, but the bad, Spider-Man, and then vice versa with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, and honestly, both done well.
I think we're going to get if this is what they said it is, but we want to get a guy who can be played both. I'm happy for it, and I'm just going to wait and see.
All right. That's pretty much what all we can really say about Civil War at the moment. I mean, besides and some of the stuff we're talking about has yet to be confirmed by Marvel, but there's a lot of rumors out there. There's a lot of crap out there that's absolutely has no validity whatsoever. I would have loved to have seen Miranda Cosgrove as Betty Brant, though. I think that would have been actually pretty funny.
I think Jason Biggs as Scorpion would have been hysterical.
I mean, that cast list was complete crap, but that would have been hilarious.
Here's the thing, though. If those characters were in the movie, that'd be a cool lineup, though, because that's like all the classic Lee Ditko characters,
But I get we're going to move off of the Civil War topic, and that's pretty much going to wrap up this week's podcast. And I wanted to get, since the Civil War stuff has been so in the news, I wanted to get everyone's general feelings about it. Based on what we kind of know, what may or may not be official. I thought it was a relevant topic to bring up. So that is going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We thank everyone for tuning in. So Jan, final shout-outs and any words for the listeners before we sign off?
I want to give a shout-out to the old Stan Lee and Steve Ditko Spider-Man comics because they're actually legitimately hold up and are still really good, and I just have had a ton of fun reading them and reliving my childhood again. I want to give a second shout-out to the Spectacular Spider-Man animated series because that show, it was crime that was canceled, and in my opinion, it is the best Spider-Man adaptation ever made. And I've been rewatching that again, too. I just started the second season today, and just what a show, and hopefully, I don't know, I just love that show. And then my third shout-out is to Daredevil, just an awesome character, and I've been reading. I bought a whole bunch of Daredevil comics at Comic-Con, and I have not read very many of them yet, but after I finish reading all the Lee Ditko Spider-Man, I'm going to start reading Daredevil. So.
All right, James, what shout-outs do you have this week?
My first shout-out, of course, goes to my boy, Zach, who's back in town. I don't know if he's watching this or not, but I'm giving him a shout-out. Thank you, man, for being back in town, and to tell everybody else back at the Air Force that I thank them for everything they're doing. Hope we can hang out sometime in the next few weeks before you go back. Next shout, of course, is the AGR. In the next few days, we're hoping to have the next episode out where we talk about the return of Power Rangers from hiatus. And I got another podcast. I'm starting out the WCW World Championship Wrestling podcast, which I'm hoping to get going within the next month or two. So, those are my shout-outs for this week, guys.
All right, my shout-out this week really is just to Marvel, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Dan Slott, Nick Lowe, all the people who are behind Spider-Man. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. John Watts, Kevin Feige, Amy Pascal, Tom Holland, all of them. Thank you very much for that, and I really don't have any other shout-outs this week. Shout out to anyone who's starting college classes tomorrow, like myself. So pretty much that's going to be it. So it's going to do it for this episode of Spider-Man's Tangled Web Show. We thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. See you later.